Owning a classic car is never going to be cheap, but just how much does it cost to run one over 30 years? My name's James, welcome to Questionable Car Club and to my 1993 Citroen BX. Just because this car only cost me 500 quid doesn't mean that it's cost me far more than that in my 2 years of ownership. And at 218,000 miles, luckily, and rather unusually, I have almost a full documented history of everything that's been done to this car. So let's go and have a look and see just how much money has been spent on maintaining this. Here I have all of the history on file for this car. Now, it starts off with its first MOT in 1997 at the tender mileage of 14k, and it's now on 218,188, and I have every MOT since then, which tells me it's never failed, but more importantly, it's never been off the road, it's never been restored, anything like that. It's always been in service, which makes it a true survivor. So let's calculate what this car cost to run over from its first receipt, which is the 3rd of June 2003, which was for a cam belt apparently and some disc and pads. It was 330 quid. So there's a lot of receipts here. It's not this whole folder, I will fill that up one day, but it's a good way back. It takes us more than halfway through. So let's start and see just how much this thing has cost over its 30 years. The results are in, and when I press equals I will get the final figure. Obviously I know roughly what it is, and I am quite shocked. I didn't realise it was this high. So since 2003, when the second owner bought this car has had £13,521.98 of general maintenance on it. That doesn't include things like tyres and wiper blades and stuff along the way. There aren't receipts for that. This is all receipts from the same guy at the same garage who is doing all of the maintenance work on it. So I have to say, Pippa, the previous owner of this car, you did very well at keeping this amazing car alive. And if you ever see this video, know that I'm cherishing it, and I will cherish it forever, and I will be buried in it. However, that's just her work. So the work that I had done, I believe totals about 3,500. So it's not cheap to maintain one of these. If you're considering buying one, make sure that you've got deep pockets, or if you haven't got deep pockets, I honestly don't know. And that's not all of my contribution either. I've had some fuel pump issues which ultimately cost me probably 1,500 or so to get done. I've spent money on little things like my fog lights on the front. They were 150 quid. There's not a receipt in there for those. Parts along the way, you can't fully quantify 30 years of ownership, but it gives you a rough idea that whatever it is a lot of money. These window switches, mine kept breaking, and I believe bought pretty much the full easily accessible supply. So that's 300 quid on switches. This bird's really going over there. You are putting me off a bit. There are various things that still need to be done, which I will cover in a different video. But when I think about the £3,000 that I can document that I've spent, do I believe that this was a worthwhile car to spend that money on? Absolutely. I have not got a single regret or issue with what I paid for it, what I'm going to pay for it, what I have paid for it. Whatever this car costs is fine. And there are better ones out there than this, but this one is mine, and that's why I love it. I mean, this interior that I'm sitting in, for example, not the original interior. There was a 16 valve one that ended up in a scrapyard, and I caught wind of it and I got there first before everyone else. It had a really low mileage on the clock, and it was in quite good nick inside. It shouldn't have been scrapped. And I got this interior out of it, and it was like 150 quid. But it's the journeys the car take you on like that. I wouldn't have gone to a scrapyard in Gloucester to go and pick this up normally. And you meet people along the way. So whether you've spent 3 grand, 300 quid, 30 grand, it's the experience of owning the car, and I don't think that you can put a price on that. And it sounds very pathetic, but this car has brought a lot of fun into my life. So while some people may just see it as something that deserves to be trashed or crushed, for me it's part of me, and it will be a cold day in hell before I ever part with it. So there you are. That's the cost of my BX, and I've loved spending every penny on it. So she well and truly had her time with this car. Unfortunately, in 2020 things took a bit of a turn for the worse, and BXs, all of them, eventually will suffer from an issue where rust starts to get into the rear. You've got to take the back axle off. It's a big old job, and I think she just had enough at that point, so she sold it, and it took a special kind of idiot to buy it, and that idiot was me. And honestly, I can't say how much I love this car. This is probably my favourite car I've ever owned, and the amount of people who come up to me and say, oh, I used to have one of those, my dad had one of those, don't see those anymore, is the most common one. So for those of you who are interested, there are something like 200 and something odd BXs left, and estates are rarer, and they come in at a ratio of about 1:4. So the chances that you might see a BX on the road are low. You do see them every now and again, but the chance that you see an estate are even rarer, and I've only ever seen one other on the road. So it was identical to this. So if you're like a middle-aged lady who drives one around Crosby Beach area, hi, I'm the guy who's got the other one. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'm a new channel, and I need very much validation and gratitude for everything that I do. Until the next one, see you later.